Hey everybody, Andy Hall here. I hope you're all doing well this afternoon. I imagine some of you are in freezing conditions. I hope you're all doing well this afternoon. And I just had, that was a minor technical issue there with the reverb. I think I got that resolved. And so this is Jenga. This is my friend Righty, my friend Lefty. I try not to play favorites, but it happens. It happens. We can't help it. And of course, here's our friend Gunmug. Gunmug, always fun to be around. Not with coffee. This is usually my third cup of coffee. This is not my third cup of coffee. This is Coke Zero. I already had my third cup of coffee earlier today. I jumped the gun with it because, see, there's a pun there, jumping the gun. I jumped the gun because I've been getting crap sleep lately for the last, I don't know, 3 days, ever since I tweaked my back. Is my back feeling better now? Yes, it is. I'm glad that you asked. And so, yes, my back is better, but it's not absolutely perfect. All right, so let's see what else we got going on. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. As per usual, I'm using my left hand, my non-dominant hand first. I feel pretty happy about the last couple of times I played Jenga. I feel like my tower rose quickly. Not just quickly, but it rose high. It went to a high point. You may notice that I have changed studios. My kid is back here with staying with my girlfriend and myself. And so that being the case, I have been relegated back to the bedroom. That's all good. I bet you're saying to yourselves, if you were going to say to yourselves, Andy Hall, you're moving awfully fast with these Jenga blocks. And I'd say, yeah, I think you're right. Maybe I feel like working on my speed today. Right? I've been focusing in on precision. Maybe I should work on speed a little bit. Of course, I have to adjust the camera every once in a while, so that sacrifices a bit of speed, but still. Look at that. Dum, dum, dum. Dum, da, 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 dum, 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 dum. Dum, 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 dum. Dum, dum, dum. Look at that. It's a thing of beauty, I know. Look, you get to see Brain in the background there. So even though it's freezing in the rest of the country, it's really an average temperature here. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. A lot of wobble. A lot of wobble. Nope. Nope. Ah, beautiful. I think it's beautiful, at least. Tons of ice. 10 degrees Fahrenheit here, and snow, which never happens. Yeah, I've heard lots of different areas in the country are getting snow that normally don't get any snow at all. And that's difficult, right? I mean, it's one thing if you always get snow, so you're prepared. But for places that don't get snow, and even just a little bit of the white stuff will bog down everything. Here we go. Can I look at that, huh? A little bit of swivel action there, and everything's still in frame. Pretty incredible. Hey, what's up, James Henry? I've been focusing on the Jenga. I don't know if you've been there for a while. Let's see. You got okay. So you haven't been around for 2. You just got here. How you doing? So far, so good over here. So far, so good. I got no complaints. Well, I can complain, but is it going to do me any good? My back is still going to be a little bit of problems. That kind of sucks. And after I'm done here, I'm going to do a little bit of physical therapy. Get my back in order, hopefully, soon. Yeah, it's looking pretty good so far. I do say that the lazy Susan here, the swiveling around, Has been amped up the game here quite a bit. Just like that. A little bit of magic. Beautiful. Actually, I was looking at, hey, Derek Cruz, how you doing? I was looking on Facebook, and it seems, and on Instagram, my basic social media feeds. And it looks like a lot of people are without power in the country, too, because of the snow and the cold. How the hell did Trump get acquitted? Well, Republican senators. That's how. Republican senators. Yeah, the evidence, yeah, but yeah, politics trumps a lot of things. There's a pun there, and I've said it before, but the politics of it just, made all that evidence. I'm not going to say worthless, because there were 7 Republican senators that did vote for, conviction. And that's a shame. But yeah, Trump getting acquitted, that was sad. No. Yes, that's what happened. It just collapsed. It just collapsed just like that. In the prime of its life, too. Cut down by gravity. Cut down by circumstance and gravity. That's what happened here. Yeah, I mean, the Democrats put out a great, the House put up a great case, did all the evidence, but it just didn't matter. There's something, of course, you've probably all heard of, jury nullification. Jury nullification is when the jury can just basically say, yeah, we know the law, what the law says, but we don't agree with it, so we decide to either, more or less acquit someone of a crime because they don't agree with the law or there's special circumstances or whatever. So I look at the Senate, those people voting, those senators voting to acquit Donald J. Trump as a form of jury nullification. Build in my plex. How long did that take? 13 minutes for the first tower to fall. I don't know. Definitely not one of my best towers. Of course, I am sleep deprived, too. So sleep deprivation must have some kind of effect on my ability to Jenga properly. Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. All right, now we gotta find the missing block. There's always well, not always, right? A lot of the times, there's a missing block. And I found it. One of the, I've had this conversation with a lot of, with many liberals over the Trump administration over the last 4 years about what is officially quote unquote legal and what the president can do because he can get away with it. you can make all the laws in the world, you can have as many democratic norms in the world, but if there's no enforcement mechanism, then it's useless. I think James Henry says, I think Mitch made a deal with the DNC. If no witnesses were called, and he would give a statement blaming Trump for the insurrection. Yeah, it does smell like there was a deal made between Mitch McConnell and the Democrats, to tell you the truth. He definitely wanted to hurt Trump. That was clear. He wanted to hurt Trump, but I think there was an awareness that there was no way he was going to be able to get 17 GOP senators to convict him. So he was trying to have the best of both worlds, and in his case, he was able to get he was able to meet all of his goals. He was able to have his cake and eat it too. He was able to dump on Trump. And yeah. Here we go. I would have been quite happier, as would all of us here who are watching and listening, if Trump did get convicted. But like we were, like I was saying in the morning show earlier today, for those of you who, I think everyone's watching now, probably saw the morning show from 9 to 10 this morning, is that, the one person, the one senator who did vote to convict Trump, Murkowski, I think that's her name, from Alaska, she has to face an election next year for her seat, but because of how the primaries are done in Alaska, she is not worried about getting primaried by a Republican. So that's why she could vote her conscience. Dr. Mordecai, how you doing? Oh yeah, Trump. Trump was guilty. He is guilty. He is, yes. There is no doubt about it. Guilty as the day is long. Making money. Pennies, if that, maybe a quarter of a penny, maybe 2 pennies. Living my Jenga dreams. That's what I'm doing. Doing my Sisyphus thing here. And then you could just say, isn't it all just Sisyphus stuff, Andy? It's like, yeah, you get to a point in your life that, you achieve things, you do things. But just as Sisyphus does what he does because that's what he does, I think a lot of us know we structure our lives is we do the things we do because that's the things that we do. Circular logic, yeah, it's circular. Dr. Mordecai, I saw a lady putting on her makeup while talking about religious people. Huh. See, that's not going to work. Hey, Theo. What's up? Glad to see you could make it. Jenga dreams, build and build, but fall to pieces in the end. Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, here we go. Keeping everything in frame. That's the trick, isn't it? Oh, look at that. Need to hit a caffeine. That's what I do. I come in time for the fall. Well, the fall came early. The fall came early at like 13 past 9. 13 past 3. Hopefully this tower will be taller. Hopefully, possibly, perhaps. All right. Building up taller. This is our special effect here with this rotating surface with a lazy Susan. That's our special effect. Maybe it's better to lighten the top section before going to the bottom. It's a good question. It's a good question, Theo. James Henry says the DNC should put down. The DNC should put Corden around, Cruz and Hawley, boycott them and not support them in any bills they want to introduce at the very least. Yeah. Well, Cruz came close to losing his Senate seat last time, didn't he? I mean, there's a chance, and Texas is becoming progressively purple. So, I mean, it might be unrealistic. I mean, I think it's within possibility, maybe even probability that Cruz could lose his seat at some point. I don't think Cruz has been named in any lawsuits. It's been typically the Giuliani, Steve Bannon, in terms of lawsuits that are descending upon Trump and his supporters. I haven't seen Cruz named in anything, though it would be nice to see him sued. James Henry, Texas will go blue in 22, mark my words. Well, that would be nice. It would be all over at that point for the Republicans. So once again, the Republicans will have this choice between either changing their party or really just going full fascist. I mean, full fascist in the way of trying to just overturn the country, overthrow the government. Cruz the blobfish, indeed. Nice. SNL did a good skit on those two, Graham and Cruz, over the weekend. If you didn't see the SNL Saturday Night Live on Saturday, you can catch the video on YouTube. It's funny stuff. Lindsey Graham, well, that would be nice. I'm not too aware of what's going on in South Carolina politics. I've always assumed that South Carolina is solidly red. After all, they were the first state to secede in 1861, I believe. At which point, a local politician in South Carolina said about his own state, South Carolina, too small to be a republic, too big, too large to be an asylum. Ted Cruz looks like a golem. Dr. Mordecai, I have to tell you, and I mentioned this before, is that, he looks horrible with a beard, and then you think to yourself, wow, you should get rid of that beard. And then when he does take off the beard, you're like, oh, my fictitious God, you look horrible. He just looks horrible both ways. He has a snail-like quality that you expect like a trail of ooze to come after him, Oh, interesting. You're only supposed to call yourself Ted if your name is Theo. Cruise originally not Smeagol. Yeah, indeed. Raphael Edward Ted Cruz, indeed. There ought to be a law. There ought to be a law against that, right? About the Teds calling themselves Teds when they're not really Theodores or. All right, here. Ooh, look at that. We got height. We got height. It's not going to fall now. You know, that's stinking thinking. Stinking thinking. Positivity. Only positive vibes here, right? Oh, it is shaky when you turn it. This is true. Oh, there we go. Stop all your winning. There's nothing to be said about cutting your losses, right? Which, you know, there's an element there, you know, I don't think we go over enough in official education about cutting your losses and the virtue of cutting your losses, to tell you the truth. I was listening to NPR, this is years ago, and I think it was someone from Freakonomics talking about the virtue of quitting. Because, you know, we all have this, there's this myth. There's a myth that you should keep going no matter what, no matter what. However, from a rational view of things, there are times that you should quit. There are times you should be quitting from something that you're doing, right? Is there any winning to Jenga? Well, when you're playing with against another person, I would imagine, right? But against yourself, I don't know. Journey, right? It's the journey. And you get to think about things. And it helps your brain, supposedly. That's what I'm thinking. It helps it helps your brain do stuff. But there was this, on NPR, like I said, someone from Freakonomics talking about, gave an example of minor league baseball players. There are people who play minor league baseball year in, year out, year in, year out. And more than likely, there's a point that the chances of them going into the big leagues will never happen. Like a very high chance that they'll never get into the big leagues. And that's, and they should quit. Those people should quit. And that's a rational choice. And that's a good choice. So there is virtue in knowing when to get out, in case you're doing something or engaged in something that is detrimental, not helpful, that you're wrong about. Am I talking about my 20-year marriage? No, I'm not. Not specifically. Thank you for asking. But there's that example right there. It's like, well, you got to be careful with the sunk cost fallacy, right? The sunk cost fallacy is when you say to yourself, well, I put in all this effort into this losing position, into this losing situation, but I can't extricate myself out of it because, well, I put all this effort in and all these resources. And when something like that happens, when you find yourself thinking like that, that's the sunk cost fallacy right there. 20 years, yeah, doctor, 20 years. And I would say amongst my top decisions in my life, one of them is getting divorced, and I say that happily. Doctor, I only did 30. Hard time. Hard time. I was watching this show with my girlfriend, and it was about arranged marriages. In arranged marriages, yeah, right? I mean, regular marriages are dicey to begin with. And maybe an arranged marriage is good in the sense that you really can't blame yourself. It's out of your hands. And so if things don't work out, you can say, well, it was an arranged marriage. But so we're watching the show about arranged marriages. It follows three couples, and this young Jewish woman is marrying into an Orthodox family, an Orthodox Jewish family. And she didn't realize what she was getting herself into. I only saw 1 or 2 episodes. I'm like, wow, you should get out before marriage. You should leave that relationship. Theo, let's see. James Henry, totally true. As long as you can say to yourself that you gave it to your, and I'll have to tell you, I think for most problems that I've come across, I just have like three stages of trying to resolve a problem. 1, make a good faith effort in whatever I'm doing. 2, give myself a timeline for when I have to get the thing resolved. And 3, I can always do something else. There's always something else to be done. There's always other options. And so quitting is an option. Theo, generally Americans are more open towards happiness and fun. Yeah, this is true. You're right about that. In Germany, it's more like disciplined and honorable. Nothing about fun and easygoing. Yeah. I've heard comedians say that working in Germany can be tough. The German crowds there can be tough yucks, can be tough crowds to get laughs out of. Yeah, arranged marriages used to work. That's when people didn't really have a lot of economic freedom or choices. And there were laws. There were just laws that prevented women from being people or having the full rights. And so marriage was a reasonable alternative for them. But now, no, don't fall. Don't fall. I don't know why I'm talking to the building, to tell you the truth. But that's what I'm doing. See, that's not going to work. That's not going to work either. Is that going to work? This is going to work, everyone. I think it's going to work. Oh, Shazam. Theo, there are a few good German comedians, to be fair. It's not like they have no humor at all, but it's different. Yeah, it's different. And you could make an argument that if you're going to work a difficult audience, your material has to be better, or you have to be better at what you do. If the audience is too easy, then you just get cheap laughs. And for a lot of people who do comedy, that's fine, right? But if you're working on a hard crowd and you get laughs, that's something. Oh no, don't fall. You're not supposed to fall. No, you're not supposed to fall. No. Okay. See, talking to your building apparently does not do anything to keep the building standing. It does nothing whatsoever. So in case you're a general contractor, take my advice. Talking to structures, it doesn't work. Hey, Jess M, how you doing? Yeah, that was number 2 tower that fell. And And since I'm doing so good at destroying towers today, I think I'll have time for a third tower. Woohoo! In Holland, we say Germans are. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. And you know, whenever I say I'm not going to try it, I always try it. Zaliek. I know the J is a Y. Yik, maybe. I don't know. That's my guess. Architecture 101. Talking is not mortar. No, it is not. Talking is not mortar. It's not rivets. It's not welding. It's none of those things. And then you become a friend, Dr. Mordecai? Is that what happens? So interesting how divided German entertainers are. There are strict comedians who only make jokes about people in life, and the other are cabaret. Oh, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. There's no, you know, you know, it's interesting as people develop their craft or their art style, which is, you know, comedy is an art style. They typically focus. You just tend to gravitate towards a particular style of comedy, one way or the other. But depending on the market, depending where you're performing most of the time, I imagine certain styles are preferable to others. I heard that conservative comedians, and there are a few conservative comedians, they typically do not very abstract. They're not satirists. They're much more straightforward in their content, in their comedy. I was stoned in Germany once, huh? Very good. When I was in the military. Oh, in West Germany. Well, you're showing your age just there, brother, by saying that in West Germany. When I was growing up, there was a West and an East Germany. Theoretically, Theo says, I was amazed at how much comedy you have in the U.S. There's a club on every night. Yeah. There is, you know, of course, with the virus, there's going to be a lot less clubs open, unfortunately. They're struggling for survival, just like everywhere else. Yeah, during the Cold War. All right, I'm going to go with my left hand. Is everything in frame? Everything's not in frame. Whoa! Spin this thing around. All right. A buddy of mine from high school, I graduated in 1986. A buddy of mine who graduated with me was stationed in West Germany. He got out of the military earlier than expected because he punched someone. I think he punched his sergeant or something like that, and so he got kicked out. Interestingly enough, he joined the circus. I won't say which circus he joined, but he joined the circus afterwards and actually became quite an accomplished performer. So circus lifestyle was for him. Military, not so much. I had a Volkswagen. I had a Volkswagen Bug and a Volkswagen Microbus. It's a Beetle, yeah. Woo-hoo! Look at this. 360 degrees of Jenga right there. Well, I didn't do the full 360 degrees, but you know what I'm talking about. The American sector was in the south and north. Yeah. Oh, you were stationed in the British sector. Interesting. Oh, yeah. Well, the original National Socialist car right there. Right. The Volkswagen. The People's Wagon. The People's Car. Tell you, my dad's 1968 Bug ran quite well. Not great heat, of course, but still, it ran. It ran pretty consistently, too, for years. It was promised to people that everyone could afford a Beetle. Yeah, yeah. Well, it was a money-making scheme by those National Socialists, right? It was a money-making scheme. Don't worry, give us your money now, and we'll give you a guarantee that we'll get you the car someday. Yeah. Interesting. The thing is with the original Beetle, right? The engine was in the rear of the car. The front was the trunk space. Which I never got into a car accident with my Beetle. What I did do, though, was during the snowy weather, I would put heavy weight. They were cinder blocks, was it? I don't know if they were cinder blocks, but I remember weighing down the front of the car so it could give it more, traction in the ice and the snow. But yeah, the original Beetle, the original Buck, had the engine in the back. And like I mentioned before, it was a great car to drive. Ironically, because I had a shift, but I didn't have to clutch, so it was one of those semi-automatics. I prefer the Citroën de Chevaux. Is it two pistons? Is that what the 2PS is? It's because I would think it would be pistons, but I don't know that much about vehicles. And is that the little car that with the door that opens up in the very front, right? A neighbor of mine had a car when I was growing up. He hardly ever drove it, but he had this little car, and the door would pop like in front of him. It must have been a prototype, or I don't know what it was. It's HP in English. Okay. It's an ugly duckling. The vehicle is not too pretty. When I was in high school, a buddy of mine had a 1974 MG, the Brit car, convertible, beautiful vehicle. He let me drive it too. I think that was probably the first standard I ever drove, was that car, the MG. It's a beautiful machine. All right, gotta raise the camera here. All right. A walnut dashboard. Yeah, MG is solid indeed. Beautiful car. If I wouldn't mind owning one of those. Oh, I had a girlfriend actually. I didn't mention this. I had a girlfriend for like a couple of weeks back in high school, and her father ran his own little garage out of his garage, and he had a very special business. He had a specialty business in working on MGs. So people would come in, bring their MGs. He'd work on the car, and maybe I should have stayed with her. Maybe I could have gotten my own MG over time. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, the guy was a lunatic. Sure. He was a lunatic, but he fixed MGs for a living. And then there's the Trabi, the Trabant, or Trebant, the East German communist. Oh, another. I don't think I know about that one, about the Trebant, the Trebi. Chevy Corvette. The car I'm driving now, it's not a pretty car, but it is. It could be the last car I ever drive, just because I wouldn't mind living carless, to tell you the truth. Of course, I have a 2007 Toyota Corolla with 262,000 miles on it. Besides having to put a new battery in it recently, it's been it's fine. You know, some rot. You know, the body's going to rot on it before the engine ever craps out. Chevrolet. Now, was that? No, that's Cadillac. Cadillac was named after the French explorer, I believe, of Detroit. So Chevrolet. I wasn't aware that Chevrolet was a Swiss name. Interesting. The only American car I love is the 1955 Thunderbird. Yep, I can see that. You know, I mean, they're pretty cars. Interesting. There's this myth about how the older cars that are nothing but metal, solid, heavy vehicles, and how they stand up to head-on collisions against modern-day cars that are made, you know, out of fiberglass. And Consumer Reports did the study, and it turns out those cars from the 50s, though they are heavy, they are solid, they are flying death machines, or they're driving death machines in terms of head-on collisions. The modern-day vehicles are able to handle collisions far better than the cars from the 50s because of the crumple zones and all that smart physics stuff. I imagine you can find the YouTube on. I imagine you can find a video of the test on YouTube. I had a Chevy Impala. I had a 1974. Was it no? It was a 1977 Chevy Impala. I actually had a Chevy Impala for a while. It wasn't the boats, James Henry. It wasn't a boat. It was my grandfather's car. Interesting story. Interesting dark story from Andy Hall. If you want to hear an interesting and dark story about how I got that Chevy Impala, I'll tell you the story. But that Chevy Impala was a beautiful car. It had a 305 engine in it, and that's when that meant stuff, right? And it was a beautiful car. Loved the car. And how I got it, just between you, me, I haven't told my kids this story because it's a dark story. But just between you, me, and the internet, I got that car because my grandfather died right in front of me when I was about 19 years old. Dropped dead. My granddad was living with my parents and I, and he was ailing in health. My parents were basically, you know, my mom was basically his nurse for all intents and purposes, and they decided to go out. No, I'm not gonna break this freaking. Okay, so my parents decided to go out for the evening. Asked me, Andy, you want to watch your granddad for a while? We're going to go out for like a couple of hours. And I said, sure, no problem. I'll hang out with granddad. Well, I heard a thump. A few rooms over. I ran over to him, and there he was, right on the floor. I did some CPR, and then I realized maybe I should call an ambulance. Called an ambulance, did some more CPR, ran outside to flag down the ambulance, and he did not make it. And so I guess my parents thought I should get a Impala since I had to suffer through all that. Weird. Of all the crazy stories I've had, and if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I've got some crazy stories. I've never told that on stage because I never thought I could really bring it back to the audience and make it funny. Like of all the other dark stories I have, I've always found a way to make it funny, to twist it in a comical fashion. But that one, I don't know, man. That's a tough lift for me to make the humor accessible to everyone else. Thanks, guys. Yeah. But the Impala was a beautiful car. Yeah, he kept it in very good condition, and I drove it for years. Oh, it's dead. It's died. Oh, not that. I mean, see, now I'm thinking about my grandfather. Horrible, traumatic experience that was. So that's it, everyone. I did 3 towers. It's about been doing this for about close to an hour. I think it's good to wrap things up now. After this, I'm going to be working on the morning show for tomorrow. I should think about getting a guest for next Sunday, maybe having another Best Advice Ever episode this week too. So I'm going to be doing that, and of course working on the blog post. And my girlfriend has a day off, so I'll be paying attention to her, and maybe I'll even pay attention to my kid too, since my kid's here. Nothing but fun. So I will talk to you all tomorrow. Hopefully you'll be there at 9 a.m. in the morning, and we'll talk about the news, share some stories, share some laughs, and some good times. The Impala story, dude. Yeah, the Impala story. I tell you, and I swear to my fictitious God, guys, the only humor I found in that story is that somehow my grandfather decided to die when his daughter wasn't around. I think there's a hook there somewhere to find, because I mean, was there a point that he decided that, wait, now that my daughter, my adopted mother, left the house, and now I'm with this kid, I don't mind dying around this kid. That's okay. I can let go now. And I don't know. It was tough. It was good. Hey, it was. I need to hear positive news. Well, we'll be positive. We'll be positive tomorrow. So it was a story I still haven't wrapped my mind around on how to make it funny in a serious way. And I mean, the thing is, it's just by me talking about it with you here in the chat helps me kind of roll it around in my head a bit more to try to figure out how to make that funny, dark but funny. That's what I try to do. Yeah, dying is never easy. No. I hear it happens to everybody. I'd like to buck that trend, at least, for an extended period of time. All right, everyone. Thanks a lot. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll have some fun. And we'll talk. We'll do things. We'll share some stories, maybe. And take care. Be strong.